Another week, another Wednesday, another episode. Welcome back to the Crescent Sports Report. I'm your host, Troy Schrader, back with my other host, Cole.
Hi.
Evan's not here today. Austin, what's going on?
How's it going?
All right. Real quick, just wanted to shout out the Crescent, producing all these episodes. They're the ones sponsoring us. It's Crescent Magazine. Go ahead, follow us on all our socials. Crescent Magazine on Instagram, Crescent Magazine 1 on Twitter, and UE Crescent Magazine on Facebook. Definitely follow the Instagram. Super active on that. Now, real quick, I just want to start off by saying somebody here made their ESPN debut yesterday, and it was not me or Cole.
Yes, I did.
Round of applause. Round of applause. How was that?
So I was nervous like the whole time leading up to it, and we can talk about you because you have made your ESPN debut. It's been a couple of months, but the whole like day leading up to it, I was just nervous as hell, like butterflies, and then it started to set in once we were like practicing the open, like, oh shit, there's no going out of this now.
I know. It's when we were I was in there, I did mine with Jonathan, so I was in there and him and I are talking. I'm trying to like take deep breaths, like I'm trying to just stay loose, and as soon as they're like, okay guys, we're gonna practice the open here, I'm like, holy shit. And then we run the open and I'm like super nonchalant, like and Jonathan's like, hey, you're being super energetic when we're talking in the booth, but with this open, make sure you're keeping that same energy. Like, you got this. Don't worry about it. I think we did the open 3 times because either I messed it up or something got messed up. But towards the end, I was like, oh my god, like I was like shitting bricks.
We restarted one of your opens because you said he hit the crap out of that ball, and I'm like, I don't think we can do that. Like, obviously, through a podcast here, we can curse, but on ESPN airwaves it's different. I'm pretty sure you said he hit the crap out of that ball, and we're like, oh yeah, we had to restart that.
Yeah, you can't. They're like, can't say crap on air. I'm like, oh, like I mean, I figured I was gonna be accidentally dropping like actual curse words, like, damn, he hit the shit out of that one.
Yeah. My parents listen to this, so they're not gonna be happy when I say this, but that was one of my main worries. Like, I was gonna be like, oh shit, like if a play happened. Luckily, that didn't happen last night. But one of my biggest like things is, last week I ran like my train of thought just stopped, and I said, oh, never mind. I don't know what I was gonna say. You can't do that on TV. Like, you have to have a thought.
Yeah, you have to stay locked in. And even if you kind of take like an awkward pause, it's still going to sound weird, but you can't just stop talking. Yeah. I think I had maybe one of those moments where I sort of stopped, but it was because a play was happening and Jonathan started to give a play-by-play. So I was in the middle of a thought, stopped, and just let him talk. But I mean, at least it wasn't like I just cut it off dead air.
And on the same note, there were a lot of times where I ended a sentence like I was going to say something else, but like that's how I wanted a sentence. And like that's how I wanted to end the sentence. And I'm like, that sounds really weird if you think about it, because it sounds like my voice is inflecting, like, oh, you have more to say, and then it's just dead silence. And
some of the things I was saying, it felt like Jonathan was not happy with me because I felt like he was wanting to make it a smooth one, and I was saying some stuff that was like maybe a little more like entertainment value. Like Brendan Horde hit a huge 3-run shot in that game that I was in the booth. And I said, oh, you give him a pitch center cut like that, he's going to hit that out every day of the week and twice on a Tuesday. And Jonathan just kind of looked over at me. I'm like, okay, either he laughed and doesn't want to laugh, or he's angry that I said that. And I wasn't sure which one.
I would really hope it was the first part. Because, I mean, that's a good, I mean, you analyzed it well. Maybe, like, not something you would expect from a sports broadcast, but I don't know what the problem would be.
I know. That whole sequence, I felt like I was just kind of, I don't know, talking out my ass. It felt like everything I was saying, I'm just like, why am I saying this? But like, it's kind of funny because he hit that, and I jinxed it right away because the pitcher was throwing really well. Come out of the bullpen, Yui'd been swinging it well. He gives him like 3 innings. I'm like, wow, he's really been huge out of the bullpen. Oh, and Horde just like as I said, oh, just drills a ball, and Jonathan starts going off, and I go, I jinxed that one. That was the first thing I said after that. And then it's just flying over by the Lloyd, and I'm like, heads up to the houses. This ball was mashed.
Did you actually say that? I don't remember.
I think I said something like that. I said, watch out for the houses. And then I think earlier on I was talking about Chase Hug because he was raking that weekend. And I said that he smells what the Rock is cooking.
I remember that.
Yeah, there was another one. I said I wanted to say somebody was going to out Pizza the Hut, but Cole told me that was stupid, so I didn't use that one because I wanted to run it by him beforehand, just make sure that someone doesn't hear, be like, dude, that's so dumb. Why would you say that?
Yeah, that one. I enjoyed the "Can you smell what the rock is cooking?"
I
But
thought, yeah,
the out Pizza the Hut, that would have been out of place.
yeah. I mean, I thought it was like gonna be maybe. I mean, I have some humor like that sometimes where it's like it's so stupid it's funny. I don't know if on ESPN is really the place to try that. So that's why I was running those things by people before I go saying it on air, and it's just stupid.
Yeah. Luckily, Graham Doty was my play-by-play, and he was really good. I tried to add some of that entertainment value. I said, Hannah Hood got a hold of one, and it was foul. And I go, the people at the baseball field, because baseball was playing, Sam was like, they better take cover over there.
Yeah,
and
I
he
did hear
luckily
that one.
played it off, and I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I did hear that one. I tuned in because I knew that you were doing one around here, and I looked at the sheet, and I saw that you were doing the one yesterday, and it was perfect because I was probably going to watch it anyway because I went to high school with a few of the girls that play for SIUE. So I was like, all right, and I'm friends with like some of their relatives or like siblings or whatnot. So I was like, all right, I'll throw the game on, and then I looked, I'm like, Austin's calling it. It's his debut. Hell yeah, I'm going to turn this on. So I was doing the Excel project, watching your game.
Yeah, I do got to ask you because, you've done the analyst part. How hard was it? Like, baseball pretty well, and baseball and softball are obviously similar.
Yeah.
It felt like I had no idea what the heck I was talking about for softball because there's just so many like different intricacies of softball that are not in baseball. So I'm like, my biggest fear was describing the pitches. Like, they don't call it a changeup, a curveball, a sinker.
It's like
they don't
a drop ball, a riser.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird titles for it.
Yeah, and like, luckily Graham kind of gave me like the ins and outs of what a drop ball pitcher does and what a rise ball pitcher does. So I used that to my advantage. Hopefully he didn't get mad that I kind of just used information I learned an hour before the game. But
I mean, I think there was about a game about 2 weeks ago, and Ed needed a announcer for it, and I was originally he said we need an announcer for this Friday, and I was originally like, oh my gosh, like I'll do that, like we need someone, like I'll take any opportunities I can get, but then I realized I was getting my wisdom teeth out that day, so that didn't work. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was thinking that exact same thing as you. I'm like, there are like just a few things that are a little bit different than baseball that like I'm definitely gonna have to try to research things and see what is different, and then see what I would actually have to do to make sure that I'm not tripping up.
yeah, and this give me the last point of it, but this didn't apply to me. At least I don't think so, and I wasn't told. But we did a softball series. I think it was Easter weekend, and
That's when I had my wisdom teeth out.
Yeah, and we had a fan email Ed saying that our commentators were lukewarm at best.
Yikes!
So like,
How did they get Ed's email? That's crazy.
Well, I guess like just from the athletics website because it is on there. I did.
Oh,
look.
okay.
But like the commentators that day were pretty good. I guess there was one play that they were talking about. I guess the explanation from the announcers wasn't good enough, and that's what the fan decided to pinpoint. And it was like, you know what, your commentators are lukewarm at best.
Oh, yikes! Who was doing it that game?
I think it was Riley and Liz.
Oh,
which
okay.
found out Liz is a listener of the Crescent Sports Report. So
Yeah, shout out Liz.
shout out Liz.
Good stuff.
But yeah, I didn't agree with what the fan said. But I guess to each their own.
Yeah,
Have that fan be in the booth for a game and see how it's like.
Yeah, for real. It's not as easy as it may look.
Absolutely not.
I was trying to get some feedback after I got done. I was like texting maybe like friends or family that was watching it, and they were all like, "Oh, you did great." And it was one of those where I'm like, "Okay, well, you're my good friend, and you're my aunt, you're my mom and dad. Like, are you really gonna tell me?" So I asked Cole, "How did I do?" He goes, "I don't know. I didn't watch."
To be fair, though, I wasn't home to watch it, and I didn't even know he was announcing.
You can go back. I mean, it's been 2 months, but you can go back.
I actually tried to look back yesterday. They don't have it on ESPN.
Are you
so
serious?
ESPN Plus. I used to have the tab like permanently pulled up, but then my computer crashed one day, and like the window went away. So I went to go pull it back up, in case if I ever need one, like put it like in a portfolio or just watch it. And I went back actually yesterday because I was like, Austin's doing this. I wonder if mine's still on there. And I scrolled back, and they only have ESPN Plus like college baseball games on demand for about, I think, right around like 3 weeks to a month, and then it's just like not on the website anymore.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah. Well, another thing I noticed too is that when searching on ESPN Plus, and this is kind of off topic, but like you don't actually like get the games of the teams. Like if you type in Evansville, they don't showcase like what games are coming up, what games are live anymore.
That's weird.
Like they used to do that for any sport. Now you have to actually go into the sport that they're playing, like into the sport categories, and find like on demand. And
I have noticed that it is like that now. I mean, I didn't pay a large attention to it because most of the time when I'm watching games, it's not like, I mean, no disrespect to Evansville, but it's not like I was like going on there like, oh, let me watch Evansville's game,
Yeah.
If I'm going on there, I'm watching like the Power 5 teams in college. I'm watching professional sports, and they're going to be the first few options. But I did notice yesterday when I was looking that I had to scroll really far into ESPN Plus where it was live, or I had to actually go down and look for leagues because they have like the MVC on there, and then it shows like all the live and upcoming and on-demand games for that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was fun yesterday.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You got another game coming up, right?
Yeah, May 3rd, baseball
Nice.
versus Butler. So I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
So.
Should be a good game. We got a damn good baseball team.
Yeah, we do. We run into some troubles against MVC, but you got some good MVC teams. You have Indiana State, Southern Illinois, Missouri State. They're all good. I mean,
We just played a damn good series against SIU too.
yeah.
That Sunday game we lost by what, 1, and we would have won that series if we win that game.
Yeah, I think they walked it off on us.
That's
and
I was
the
just about to say I think that's what happened, but
it was a nationally ranked or nationally broadcast.
yeah, ESPNU, right?
Yeah.
Damn,
So,
that's crazy.
need some more of that.
Yeah, I saw a graphic today that listed SIU as the best baseball team in Illinois, like in college.
That
So,
doesn't surprise me, actually.
They're getting love.
Yeah.
But so we're talking college baseball. Speaking of actual base, or not actual, but MLB baseball, professional. Max Scherzer got tossed about 2-3 hours ago. Was watching that game, big Dodgers fan, but they're playing the Mets. He gets tossed. Substance check. Cole, I know you weren't really a fan of it. What did you see?
Well, knowing knowing Max Scherzer and how good he is and how dominant he is, I don't think he would ever need to use it. And he showed a lot of emotion when they did eject him, and he did very clearly look like, I don't really know like how to describe it, but he looked
Pissed off.
Like Mad Max?
yeah, he looked pissed off because he was getting ejected because he knew he wasn't cheating and that he tried to explaining it was just rosin and sweat, which I don't know. I didn't see it obviously or like actually feel the glove, but I believe what he is saying.
So since you guys watched the game, did he get ejected for using a foreign substance, in quotes, or did he get ejected for arguing with the umpire? Because, I mean, he was pretty heated, obviously.
I believe it was for the foreign substance.
Mhm.
But according to the broadcast, I'm almost 90% sure this is what they said. I was also like scrolling on my phone whenever they happened to drop this, but they said that he was given a warning that he needed to change gloves, I think the inning prior, and then he came back out with the same glove, and then they tossed him, which, I mean, obviously, if you're not cheating, you probably don't see the need, like, well, I'm not cheating, why do I need to change it? But at the same time, if they tell you, we're going to throw you out if you don't change your glove, and you don't change your glove, what do you think's going to happen? You think they're just going to be like, you know what, Max, we'll let you get away with it this one time.
Yeah.
What I saw is I believe he did change gloves and came out with a new. They brought out a new one because they forced him to change, and then they checked that glove and then threw him out. So that's why it like that also makes me believe he's not, because why would he put it on both like two gloves?
Okay,
thinking it's going to get.
But then if it's actually sweat and rosin like he was saying it is, how did the sweat and rosin get on the glove he wasn't using? What's the rosin there for? What's the sweat there for?
Well, did he use that secondary glove and then, like, got out of the inning and then came back with the original glove? Is that what happened? Because if that's the case, then obviously the leftover sweat and rosin from,
Yeah, if he used it for an inning, I don't remember if he used that one for an inning or if it's like when he was arguing, they just brought it back and said he'll switch to this one, and the ump was like, no, I'm not having it, get out.
Okay.
But side note, I did mention this to Cole and Austin before this happened. Since the substance checks have been implemented and people can be ejected for it, there have been 3 players that have been ejected. All 3 have been ejected by umpire Phil Cuzzy. He ejected Max Scherzer today as well, obviously, making it the 3rd. But kind of unreal that they implement it and either Phil Cuzzy is just absolutely reaching to toss people, or people are just like, you know what, Phil Cuzzy, we can take advantage of this guy. I'm curious what the correlation is there.
I think it's the first one. I think he's just trying to eject people because I still don't think Max Scherzer deserved to be tossed today. And I don't know what the other 2 were. And if you guys do, then I might.
I remember seeing them, but like I hate to sound like a dick when I say this, but it's like if I were to say their names, you guys would be like, who? I'm trying to look it up right now.
And another thing, too, is it's probably one of those cases where, was this the first time this year?
Yes, first time this year.
It could be one of those, like, well, if we don't toss you out, it's going to be because, oh, you're Max Scherzer. It could be one of those. I doubt it. Yeah. And just kind of, like, as a warning, like, oh, just because Max Scherzer, quote-unquote, got away with it doesn't mean everyone else can.
It was Hector Santiago last year and Caleb Smith. Actually, no, it wasn't even last year. It was 2021. So it's been 2 years since we've implemented that already, which, damn. 2 people, no one got ejected last year, and then 2 in 2021, and Max is the first one since the first season. So first time in a while. That's quite insane.
I don't know much about umpires besides obviously Angel Hernandez and CB Buckner. Sorry, don't want to make him mad. He'll throw me out. But is Phil Cuzzy known as someone that like gets under like players' skins for like bad calls or just like?
I mean, when I heard that he was the one that ejected him, I was like, god damn it, Phil Cuzzy. And I, like you said, you only know the name of 2 umpires, which if you're an MLB umpire and people know your name, that's not a good thing. Like, no one's going to be like, wow, this guy's a fantastic umpire. If I knew Phil Cuzzy's name beforehand, that's not a good sign.
Unless you're Pat Hoberg, who umpired a perfect game in the World Series last year. But
that is true. That was the first ever perfect game. That is one time. I mean, if you're putting up the first ever umpire perfect game, then like, yeah, go ahead. Like, we'll give you your props. We'll probably know your name from that. But other than that, like, I'm trying to rack my brain. And beforehand, I probably could do it. But now, like, I'm sitting here trying to talk about it, and I have no idea any other people's names off the top of my head. But just got a little alert on my phone. Breaking news. Grizzly star Ja Morant has been ruled out for Game 2 versus the Lakers. I see cold cheese in over there.
Yes, that means the Lakers are winning the series.
Winning the series, you think?
Yes, because
they won Game 1, right? Lakers did.
The Lakers won Game 1. So with Ja Morant out this game now, with already having Steven Adams out for this, I believe the rest of the season, and Brandon Clark out the rest of the season, they're missing 3 of their top 4 players because, let's be real, Dylan Brooks sucks. So,
but he's an antagonist, so you better watch out. He's a villain.
He still sucks. So now that they're missing 3 of their 4 top players, and they already lost Game 1, that makes it easy for the Lakers to win Game 2, and that means you lost home court advantage both games against a team with like the most playoff experience, one of the greatest of all time in LeBron, AD playing very good so far, and then you have to go to Staples Center and try to beat them in at least 2 of those games, because if you don't, then they win the series.
Well, this game is in Memphis, so watch out. Jaren Jackson Jr. might put up 14 blocks and 7 steals.
He might. He won't. I know what you mean, though, with the
stat padding,
yes.
Air quotes. What are your thoughts on stat padding, Cole? You're always heavily opinionated anytime I ask you anything. So
what do you
relatively? I mean, this is kind of an open question. Austin, this goes to you as well. Like in any sport, like anything you can think of, I guess. But stat padding, as in the stat recorders are giving you more than what you're credited for, than what you should have, or if you're like Russell Westbrook, what people call stat padding, where he just takes a bunch of shit shots to get rebounds and makes his teammates shoot it so he can get assists.
Honestly, I don't think Russell Westbrook was a stat padder, because a lot of people accused him of like his teammates allowing him to get the rebound, but I think that's a strategic thing with allowing him to get the ball, because he's one of the fastest like in the league, and he's their point guard, a great facilitator. So I think they're like, okay, let him get the rebound so he immediately has the ball. We don't have to waste time finding him, giving him the ball. He can just get it and go. I think that's what that was.
Yeah, he pushes the fast break so well. Like I agree with you there fully.
I don't think he was ever really a stat padder, and I think with stat padding, it is usually like you're just like trying to fill a stat sheet with like empty stats or whatever, not winning games. Russ was winning games. He got his team to the to the playoffs, and I believe won that first round series.
In my opinion, the king of empty stats, Karl Anthony Towns.
Like, what do you mean though? Like, because I know I just explained what empty stats are, but like, what do you mean by
it? Feels like the Timberwolves are never any good, and yet people are always like, "Oh, dude, Karl Anthony Towns, he's a top 5 center in the league. He's a stud. Like, watch out. Like, this might be the year he." I mean, it's not the past like 2-3 years. It really hasn't been like, "Oh, watch out, he might take a step." But there have been so many people that have ranked him so highly, and like, yeah, sure, he might go out and put up like a 22 and 9-10 boards or whatever, but like his team is consistently the 7 or the 8 seed, and they're just never any good. Like, they cannot compete against other teams. I'm not a Cat fan. Like, I feel like he constantly complains as well. I mean, I don't know. I feel like he's the type of guy that thinks he deserves calls and then just doesn't get them, but like it's deserved. Like, if LeBron's trying to get a call, like, he's LeBron James, you know, sometimes you can do that. But like you said the same thing about Spencer Dinwiddie when we were watching the game yesterday. Like, you got to have the right to be able to argue all these types of calls.
Yes, but like going off what you said, Spencer Dinwiddie went in for a layup, and then it was a foul call that I wouldn't even see like Steph Curry, LeBron James, Giannis get, honestly. And he started crying to the ref like, "Oh, give me that call, give me that call." But when it's a call that not even a superstar is going to get, I don't get why you expect him to get it. So, but going back off Karl Anthony Towns, did you watch the play-in game between the Timberwolves and the Lakers?
Uh, like the one that happened last week.
Yes, like the play-in game between the Timberwolves and the Lakers.
I caught parts of it.
Because in that game, I would say Cat had the complete opposite of an empty stats game. Yes, they obviously didn't win, but he did everything he could to keep them in the game. And the Lakers only won by, I want to say, like single digits. And in that game, Cat played good defense. He racked up a lot of assists. I wouldn't be surprised if it was his career high because he was facilitating very well. He shot the lights out of the ball and then rebounded very well. But then he got in foul trouble. They had to take him out late in the game, and then it allowed the Lakers to pull away.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a game that is gonna make my point seem bad, but I don't know. I feel like everyone has that one guy that they're
Yeah.
just like way higher, way lower on than everybody else. But
Kind of going back to the stat padding topic you guys were talking about. Am I wrong, or do I feel like that only happens in basketball? Because that's like the only opportunity for that to happen. Because like I don't watch basketball. I watch baseball, football, and hockey. And I just feel like you can't really do that in the games. Maybe football if you're like in a blowout and
That's
it's
what
like
I was gonna say.
chucking check downs to your
Yeah.
tight end or right
Yeah.
receiver. Like
I think football is the only opportunity there. Hockey is maybe if it's like an empty net and you give the puck to a certain guy so he can score.
yeah, that's
Maybe,
true. And
but,
I
like-
usually see those when it's like they have like they can get a hat trick. That's when
Yeah.
I usually see that.
Mhm.
But in terms of like other like rebounds, blocks, I feel like that's just only in basketball.
I believe in I agree with you when it comes to hockey and baseball. I don't think that you're ever going to see it, but in football, I think it happens actually quite a bit in the blowouts because like we have seen over the past few years blowouts like occurring a lot, and specifically in 2020. In 2020, I'm a Cowboys fan, and our defense sucked that year. And in the first 5 games when Dak was playing, I want to say racked up like 1,900 passing yards in 4.5 games because he got hurt in the 5th. And that's an unreal amount, but a lot of those yards, I will agree, came in like the late second half when they're down 18 to the Browns, and he's just chucking the ball really far against a second string defense and getting a bunch of yards from it, and touchdowns and all of that.
I mean, you can't blame Dak for the second
You're right.
string defense being out there. It'd be one thing if the defense isn't and with basketball though, like you can tell your teammates, "Hey guys, like get out of the way. Like I want this rebound." Or you pass someone, like shoot this damn basketball. But with football, it's not like you're playing against the defense. It's not like you really have an opportunity like that. It's not like if you're like a wide receiver, you tell your teammates, "Hey, if you catch the ball, lateral it to me, and so I can run." Like I don't.
I know you're like it's not his fault for it being a second string defense, but there's a reason they're the second stringers. They suck. So it's easy to get yards compared to a first string because it's like a bunch of worse players.
I think when you say the term stat padding, though, it has like a negative connotation to it. So that's why people think that you're doing something wrong. But if you consider football stat padding or consider that stat padding, I think you either have to remove the connotation from it or you have to come up with a new term because there's a difference in the stat padding that you're doing in football and the stat padding you're doing in basketball.
I can agree with that. I just when you guys started talking about it, I was like, I think it only happens in basketball mainly, but
The only other sport in baseball we mentioned is really the only way is if you were sliding a couple dollars underneath the table to the scorekeeper, and it's just like hit a ground ball back to the pitcher, dude throws in a 13th throw, like hard hit double in the books. I don't really know what else you can do.
yeah.
It's not like anything you can do. It's really just if the scorekeeper's got your back or something.
And like you said, the connotation of stat pad, like how people connotate it and comprehend it. If you want to use it for when like a pitcher or position player comes into pitch, and the batters are still actually like trying to hit instead of just going up there like whatever when you're up 11.
Yeah, maybe if you're
That's your connotation.
kind of like
of
Yerman
stat.
Mercedes,
That's
they
what I'm
put a
thinking.
position player out there and you're just
Yeah.
going up there and hacking, which there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with
There's
that.
nothing- Yeah.
It's hard to get base hits. You get an opportunity for a free one, like fuck yeah, I'm gonna go out there and
Exactly.
swing my heart out.
If you're telling me that you're just gonna look past a 56 mile per hour floater and not crush
Exactly.
that to
That's what I'm saying.
opposite side of the river, like
Exactly, and that's why I agree with you guys, and I'm just saying based on like what some people's connotation of stat padding are, you could technically say Yerman situation in this.
I'm curious what Evan's take would be on this because I know that Evan is, especially with basketball, he's got some opinions. I mean, as we all do, but I know that Evan likes the way the game should be played, not the way sometimes people play it. I'm sure he's got a nice take on stat padding that if he were here, he'd definitely be willing to give it to us.
We might have to ask him next week because I mean, it might not be relevant next week, but you never know.
Yeah, maybe the very obvious case shows up in between this Wednesday and next, and we can bring it back up.
Well, Russell Westbrook does have 2 games in between now and next week, so I mean, there's a chance Russell Westbrook has a stat padding game. Air quotes around that.
Yeah, there's a possibility. So I'm gonna transition this. We're just gonna move past the stat padding now, unless someone else has one last point to make.
Nope.
Okay, moving past it. But I know that I've talked about my bets a lot. It's been a big segment on here. So aside from betting in fantasy, just the amount of bad luck that I have endured has been unreal. Juan Soto, I'm looking at his StatCast page right now. Heading into today, he was batting. Right now, it's listed as he's at 194. I believe that's updated to this game. He was batting under 180, I want to say, heading into today's game. And this dude just gets he's the most unlucky player in baseball, I swear. Last year, he saw the least amount of strikes out of any hitters. This year, he's got a 91st percentile in hard hit percentage. He's the 82nd percentile in expected slugging. What is that number? 88% or 80th percentile in barrel percentage. And then his max exit velo is an 89th percentile. This dude goes up there, doesn't chase because his chase rate's at 92. So bro swings at good pitches, barrels the shit out of them, cannot get base hits. It was the same thing as last year. I know Cole loves the shit on Juan Soto because he's all about Acuna and thinks Acuna's better, which maybe we can have that conversation right after this. But Juan Soto, one of the most unlucky players. Saw this stat yesterday. Cole's been loving to shit on my fantasy team. I have MJ Melendez on that team, young guy with the Royals. MJ Melendez has 9 hard hit balls with the launch angle between 28 to 37 degrees. And a hard hit ball, by the way, is classified as 95 miles per hour or harder. So 9 balls hit 95 miles an hour harder between 28 and 37 degrees launch angle. That's the most amount of those hits in the MLB. Hitters across the league are hitting 500 on such batted balls and slugging just under 1,800. MJ Melendez is 0 for 9 on those hits. I swear, there has to be something out there. Someone spoke something into the universe. I wronged some kid in grade school, and they put a vex on me or a spell. This is some 2000s rom-com. I think that actually happened in one of them I saw. I won't lie, but it's unreal. I swear, people are just preying on my downfall. There has to be some sports god out there that's haha, Troy put stock into this player. Let's just make him be super unlucky. I drafted Alek Manoah as well this year. Felt like a pretty good pitching staff. I was trying to build that up because, we have in our fantasy league, the way the points work, we have a pretty decent amount of the categories for pitching, and it's a category head-to-head matchup. So I needed my pitching staff to be good. I drafted Hunter Green, Sandy Alcantara, Alek Manoah, and Spencer Strider. 4 day 1 or day 2 starters, and all of them except Spencer Strider have been shit. I'm pretty sure Alek Manoah has a 15 ERA. Are we serious? What is this?
Oh man, I feel so bad for you.
I'm really going through it, man.
I'm just gonna. I have a. Go ahead, because you're finishing.
It feels like every time I turn a baseball game on, I'm like, I got my fancy guy going today. Let me turn it on, and then it's just like a launch pad. It looks like it's Top Golf or something. The balls just fly. I feel like I need to just crack open a cold one and listen to Marvin's Room. It's just depressing the whole time.
Just real quick, isn't there a baseball version of Top Golf that I saw?
It's called Home Run Dugout, I think. It's opening in Texas.
Yeah, I think I want to go to that.
I want to go to that.
That sounds awesome.
The amount of times that I wish I could just hit BP or just play catch, but Cole refuses to ever play with me. Pisses me off. But I miss playing baseball. That stuff's fun.
Yeah, so obviously this is totally off topic for fantasy, or we're talking about fantasy, but I have that every time I'm watching a baseball game, especially college, where I just I miss playing so much. I miss when I was basically throwing my arm out because I was getting pitched every game as a youth player because we had no other pitchers. I was getting thrown out every game. Like I miss that.
Yeah. You're throwing for the 4th time this week. You got a rubber arm.
Yeah.
Just don't feel anything, and then your team's going to Pizza Hut afterwards.
Oh no, we weren't that good. But like, I'm pretty sure I like need Tommy John surgery because like every time I throw a baseball now, there's like a sharp pain from my elbow, like all the way up. But
yeah, that doesn't sound promising.
so
Might be something you want to get checked out
Yeah.
if you're ever worried about
yeah,
throwing
probably.
again.
I'll make a return. I'll
Yeah.
just go straight to the MLB. But anyways, like every time I watch a baseball game, like man, I wish I miss being on the mound. I miss stepping into the batter's box, even though I went like 1 for 18 every 5 games. Like I miss that.
Luckily, Cole and I play in a league back home, like a rec league, and it's for a lot of people that are just kind of like, oh man, kind of miss playing baseball. So, I mean, I'll admit, you play Sunday at 11 a.m. A lot of people are showing up to the game hungover, but not me, not this guy. I take the season way too serious, so I'm showing up ready to go. I'm like 4 or 5 waters deep. We're playing middle of July. It's hot as shit. All these guys are throwing up because they had too many cold ones the night before, and I'm just shoving on the mound. Not actually.
Is it actual baseball or is
Yeah,
it
actual baseball.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just guys that used to play in. They used to just play like high school baseball, but some of the guys are actually pretty good. Like there's some teams that do take it really serious. Like there's a guy that played. He was in spring training with the Astros a few years, and he's won the league MVP the last not the last few years. One of his teammates does. Weirdly enough, this guy, like I said, played professional baseball for a good while. Played Division I baseball, and his teammate, who's a kindergarten teacher, is winning MVPs over him in our league.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's crazy enough. Like this guy's a kindergarten teacher. He's like 6'5", sleeve tattoos. He's one of the scariest looking dudes I've ever seen. And they're like, oh no,
Does he have that like goatee that's like really rugged and
he has like scruff facial hair, not like a goatee, but it's kind of like one of those where it looks like he's got a 5 o'clock shadow all the time.
Okay.
But he looks very intimidating, like very scary. He kind of has like that. I kind of like his eyes are always like super close, so he looks like he's like glaring at you. He's intimidating. I won't lie. Like whenever I'm on the mound and he steps up, and I'm like, oh god damn it, I gotta pitch to this guy. Are you kidding me? And I'll be honest, like I never give him anything to hit. Playing that whole team sucks ass. Like last year we played them, and we played in a doubleheader. You want to know the scores? First game, 24-1. Got short game. Second game, we lost 18-0.
Oh God.
This was also like one of the first few weeks, and we're one of the teams that just goes out there and tries to have fun. So like some of us do take it serious, but we're also like, you know what, like let's just have some fun. So we're playing guys out of position. We've got like 4 POs on our team, and they're playing the outfield and I'm pitching, and then we're putting in a literal position player, like where he just goes up there and like just lobs it, and we're playing the best team in the league that's won the championship just so many years in a row, and they've got a bunch of college guys, former college guys, professionals. So they're damn good. But,
Does that kind of ruin the fun of the league or not?
um,
Having a team that is just stacked beyond imagination.
It's like the 2016-17 Warriors.
a little bit, yeah. But there's sometimes that the team looks beatable, and you're like, oh my gosh, like we're gonna do it. But it doesn't help that the guys that run the league are like homies with their coaches and whatnot. So it kind of sucks because the league's just glazing them the whole time. So there'll be not this past year, the year before, our team was one of the bottom seeds in the playoffs. And if we would have won, we would have played a different team, which was just like not that good. Like we'd already beat them several times. So it's like if we win our first game as the underdog, we're probably going to win the second game, and then we're playing the championship. But so the team that's really good won their first round. We upset the team we're playing in that round. So we're like, all right, sweet guys, we're going to make the championship. So the team that's really good complains to the league like, oh, well, how come we're the number 1 seed? We don't have the easiest path to the playoffs. So then the league just like, oh, you know what? You guys are right. And they've been doing bracket play for the 75 years the league's been a thing. But then just because the team complained, they're like, oh, okay, we're going to reseed now, starting now. Like in the middle of the week, they just made a whole league change. And then we got to play the number 1 team in the league and got stomped. I mean, like, yeah, we would have got stomped in the championship, but like we would have made the championship. It would have been a lot cooler.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up, but
It's stupid.
it's
They have like an umpire schedule that they send out, and they send the same umpires to them every single time, and those guys don't care because they've been doing it for so long, so they're kind of just like doing it for a paycheck. But they've been doing it for that team for so long, they know all the guys, so like they're giving them the benefit of the doubt on every single call. So it's hard to win when you have the league on their side, and the umpires on the side, and when they're way better, obviously. But
yeah.
it's difficult. You ever played slow pitch softball?
No, but I really want to.
Cole and I playing a league back home. This Friday is our first game.
Nice.
Started a team up this year. We're running it Valbo's Tropics. We play for a bar, and we just made our jerseys like the Flint Tropics.
Nice.
But that's how the league works. But I know we got pretty sidetracked here talking about playing baseball. Those were the good old days, though.
I miss it.
Same.
I don't.
Why not?
I never was a baseball guy. I'm very small, so I'm not gonna lie. When I went up to the plate, I was like scared of getting hit because I'm so small. I know it would have hurt worse than like other people.
Just get out of the way. You always said that, and I'm like, dude, just get out of the way.
But then you're clowned on. Again, that's like you're supposed to like. That's the thing though. In baseball, when you're thrown at, you're supposed to. You gotta wear it. Like that's just
Not really. The
Yes,
MLB has
yes,
a
you do.
rule saying you have to get out of the way if you can, or you have to at least make an attempt.
no. But I'm saying like when it's like thrown at your back though, and you gotta like turn at it. That's what I'm saying. Like the basic like beanball.
Hell no. I played baseball my whole life. I've never been hit by a pinch once.
Well, I've been hit and it hurts a lot.
I've got hit in the head before.
really.
Ow.
Yeah.
How was
I mean,
that?
it was a. Was it my last year? So it would have been 8th grade. I mean, it was an 8th grade ball at 50, 60 miles per hour. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
It was mostly the shock of getting beamed in the head that, like, I'm just gonna embarrass myself. Like I cried because I got hit in the head.
Yeah,
But, like I wasn't concussed. Like it hit the helmet. I mean, obviously. So I
Yeah.
had turned, but
I had one of my teammates get hit in the head as well back whenever we were in grade school, but luckily it was a little bit more of a tame situation. Instead of just getting plunked in the head and like him going down, they threw it at his head and he tried to duck it. They didn't throw it at his head on purpose, but the ball was coming at his head. He tried to duck it, and then he stood up thinking it was past his head and perfectly timed it up that it skipped off the top of his helmet, and he like launched the ball. Like the baseball went probably 35 feet in the air, over the grandstand, crossed the street, like it was over the backstop and everything. Like I never seen anything like it. It was like his helmet acted like a trampoline.
see when you started talking about that, I thought you were gonna say he didn't bring his bat down, so it would have been a foul ball.
I
No,
thought you were
that
gonna
would've
say
been
he
kinda
brought his head up too early and hit him in the jaw.
Cole, knowing him, it was Parker. It probably would have. No disrespect if Parker's watching this, but like I could have seen it happening. He was one of our friends back home that's just like super like at the time
Super
was
goofy.
he was kind of
Yeah.
like goofy, just loved to have a good time. He was always laughing, kind of uncoordinated at the time, but like because he was like 6'1", 6'2", as like a 13, 14-year-old kid, so it's like it takes time to grow in your body then. But it was like anything that happened to him physically, it was always just kind of funny to watch because he was like he just get hurt and then just kind of smile about it. But
So actually, I want to ask this question. So Cole, what was your sport?
Basketball.
Do you,
mainly.
do you still play? Like, I mean, do you miss that? I mean, that's kind of like what
Yes,
we were
I
talking about.
miss it a lot. Yes.
Like, you're watching, like, you're probably not watching Evansville, but like, when you're watching NBA, you're like, man, like, I wish I was still out there. Like,
I do. Well, obviously not for the NBA,
Mhm.
which would have been awesome, but yeah, no, I miss it. But like the big difference between basketball and baseball is like baseball all throughout grade school is like so you're obviously gonna start getting like somewhat competitive in baseball, like probably 5th, 6th grade. Would you say that's
yeah.
well, my dad was always like the coach for me in baseball, and so it sucked because like as a dad, you're not gonna yell at other people's kids, but you're not like scared to yell at your own. So like in baseball, if there's like since I was a center fielder, so I was always like supposed to take control in the outfield, and if there was a ball hit directly at someone and they dropped it, my dad would still yell at me for not taking over. Or like if it was mainly their ball, not hit directly at them, but like it was their ball and they dropped it, I was yelled at because it was I'm supposed to be the one taking control in the outfield, and I could have gotten to it.
Mm-hmm.
But in basketball, he was only my coach up until 4th grade, which since it's not like that, you're really young, you're not going to take it seriously. I was able to have other coaches, and they were able to like teach without just yelling at me, kind of like my dad was. So
I don't think Dad just yelled at you just for the sake of yelling at
obviously
you.
not, but
But our dad is very, very competitive.
Mhm.
So even just being the coach, and I'll be honest, both Cole and I's teams sucked. Like we were not any good, and so whenever teams lost, my dad would get angry. But there was also like whenever your little kids, like you see your like professional players getting angry. So the kids get out, they might slam their bat, they throw their helmet. But my dad didn't want to yell at any of the other kids. So it's like if Cole and I would, which obviously we're competitors as well, you get it honestly.
yes.
So like our team's playing terrible, other kids are like spiking bats, throwing everything. I come down and I get angry and I set my helmet down in my bag hard, and then I get my ass chewed. But I think it was just one of those where it was like to set an example, because it was one of those like that behavior like at that age, like when you're an 8-year-old kid and the whole team's just flinging shit, like that's not acceptable. So I think our dad used that as an opportunity to just tell everyone else like cut the shit. So it worked for my team at least, because towards the end there, like I never really learned. I was that kid when I was 14, like everyone else is doing nothing and I get out and I'm slamming shit. Didn't help that I sucked ass at hitting. So like I tried so hard to not be bad at hitting, and then I was still ass at it. So that's why I took up pitching, because I couldn't swing.
Yeah.
To be fair, when he says he set his helmet down hard in his bag.
No, that was an example. There were times that I was flinging.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say he most of the time he threw it. He threw it. He wouldn't like chuck his bat, but he would like walk up to the fence and like kind of give it a good toss at the fence.
Tell you what, there were times if I struck out, you're putting up a golden sombrero game, that dugout stood no chance. That bench was taking a beating.
Yeah.
It's funny now to look back on it and laugh.
I feel like I got unlucky. It's not unlucky. Like, what I'm about to say here means no disrespect to the coaches I had, but like, and obviously, like, look at me now. There was no way in hell I was gonna make it big leagues. Like, I am not in any athletic shape. Like, I was not that talented.
I got a funny story for after you.
Okay, but like, I felt like I only had one. I don't want to say legitimate, because it feels like I'm like talking bad about the other coaches that I had. But like, I only had one legitimate coach for 2 years, and then he stopped coaching because he was just getting old. And like, he was the coach where like you get yelled at, but it was one of those like, you're gonna get better from this. Like it's tough. Like, and I enjoyed that, because like when I had a bad outing, like he would like get upset, but like I got better from that, and I missed that. And then once he retired, again, no disrespect whatsoever. I mean, they're probably not gonna listen to this. I don't talk to their sons anymore, but like it didn't mean much. Like, and not only that, like when we had the actual legitimate coach, we had like 6 pitchers. So like I wasn't getting thrown out every day. Like I'd legitimately have like a schedule where I'd pitch one day and then I wouldn't pitch the next game, but maybe the next one. And they were 4 or 5 days apart.
And even when we were younger, I don't know how long ago it was that they were doing that to you. It would say like 11 years ago, we're 10. Like if you have a coach nowadays that's throwing a 10-year-old kid out there every single game, they're going to get their ass chewed. Like there's so much that has been learned about keeping like arm care and keeping your arm healthy, that if someone did that now, it would be like all hell would break loose.
Is this still a thing that like kids and like people are having Tommy John surgery a lot earlier now, like in high school?
Yeah.
Because of this.
Yeah, I had a few of my old high school teammates that went to college. They were a year younger than me. They went to college. There was like 3 or 4 of them that went to college to be pitchers. And their freshman year, all but one of them tore their UCL and had to get Tommy John.
That's wild.
Yeah. I've seen some stories of people in high school or late grade school or something, where if they're planning on going to college, they'll just get preemptive Tommy John. Like they don't even have anything torn. They'll be like, oh, I'm just going to get it and sit out a year. And then that way, whenever I go to the next level, like I won't be at risk. Makes no sense.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Like, obviously, things can still happen. You can still get injured. But, like, once you get Tommy John surgery, does that kind of, like, quote-unquote, stop that problem? Or, I don't know. I don't know what it does.
I don't think so, because I want to say Ben Joyce, like the dude that pumps like 106 consistently, I want to say he's had it multiple times.
Yeah. So it doesn't stop the process because they replace the ligament. So whatever wear and tear you've built up on that ligament throughout the time that you've had that, depending on if you've had Tommy John or not, if it's the one you were born with, then like it slowly gets like more and more damage, more and more used. Like if you take good care of it, obviously it's just like anything. It's not gonna get worn out as much. But whenever you get that new surgery, then you slowly like build its way back up, build its strength, its like elasticity or whatever. And then once you start back up, it's like it's a fresh one like you've never thrown before. So there's some people that come back from Tommy John throwing harder because their arm is more healthy. But it definitely does open you up to being healthier longer, but it doesn't completely shut the door on injuries. But my funny story to you earlier made me think of this because you were like, I wasn't going pro or anything. Just the other day, Cole shitting on baseball just a little bit ago. Just the other day we were watching baseball. Cole goes,
yeah,
man, I wish I would have played baseball. I definitely could have went to the MLB.
Yep. I genuinely, like, I was just watching the game. I'm like, damn, if I actually, like, cared about it, I could have. But obviously not realistic. But
okay, sure. And if I could deadlift 450 pounds, I could throw 93.
Yeah. So obviously it was not realistic. But I was just thinking at the time, I said, so if I actually cared and put the work in, because I never did. I never cared. I cared about baseball up until like 4th or 5th grade or so, and I'll get into that later. But I cared about it, and then I just kind of stopped, and I never put in the work after. Like, I never went to any hitting coaches to get better at hitting. I never worked out to get stronger or anything. So my arm is pretty ass, and my hitting, I'm a good
Not a
hitter.
noodle, guys.
I'm a good hitter, but I'm a singles hitter. Like I'll go up there, I could hit probably 350, and I want to say last year I hit about 325
Yeah,
for
about
varsity.
325, you have like a 330 slugging.
Yeah, like all of my hits were
mean,
single.
I can't say anything because I was in the league where like you pitch, but everyone bats, like even if you're on the bench. So
Yeah.
like people compared me to Lance Lynn because I was pretty accurate as a pitcher, couldn't swing for shit. Like
Hey, I was in that same boat.
there was
Don't
there was one game, and Cole, you can get back to your story, but I roped a triple down the left field line, and I was just like basically the same form body. I was just chugging my ass around the bases, and everyone was going crazy. I get to third base, and he goes, "If there's a pass ball, don't run. You need to catch your breath." Because
That's funny.
in the league, there's a lot of pass balls, so you would
Yeah.
steal home often. But they're like, just don't
Mhm.
run. And then luckily, like first pitch, the next guy like roped a single, so I just
Yeah.
trotted my way home.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. It's always
but everyone, even parents are coming up and like, and like they change teams, and they're like, "You hit a triple?" Yeah, I know.
Yeah, for real. I felt the same way. Like there was like 1 year randomly towards the end of grade school that I just hit the shit of the ball, and it was like the year before was okay. Then I went crazy, and in the last like 2 or 3 years I sucked ass. So then I got into high school, and I was pretty quickly telling all my coaches like, do not make me hit. It's gonna embarrass me. It's gonna embarrass you. I'll pitch, and I'll help out. Like I'll do some field work. I'll do the book, whatever it takes. But like I swear to God, if you make me hit, like this is not gonna look good on any of us.
Anyways, Cole, sorry.
Okay, so going back to what I was saying, like you look at my frame, it's not obviously I'm not big at all, so I couldn't throw because I like Troy said I have a noodle. It's a bad arm, and then like you said, 325 average, 330 on base, like slugging. My bad. Every single one of my hits last year was a single except for one. I had one double, and that was it. But I'm very good fielding the ball. I'm an outfielder. So.
Defensively, yes.
Yeah, I was very good defensively.
Which,
Sorry.
honestly, going back to your batting, like easy top of the order, get on base, like that'd be perfect. technically.
He was more of a 9 hitter. He wasn't the
Okay,
one.
So double
That's
lead
it.
off. That's a double
Yeah,
lead
second
off.
leadoff. Yeah.
I was actually put at the.
That's what I got told, but I just sucked ass at hitting. So I was just like, yeah, guys, like, come on, I'm in the 9 spot. Like, don't you worry.
Yeah, but I was put at
Automatic K.
I was put at the 9 spot, and so I would say I'm pretty decently fast. I'm very good defensively. I can read the ball and all that. I just couldn't throw, and I couldn't hit the ball very hard. So like I feel like if I put in the work, I was thinking, and lifted weights and did all that, like actually cared about getting bigger, I thought I could have been a decent ball player and then worked my way up.
Obviously, I don't.
Which, not realistic.
I haven't known you long enough, but like when you said that, the mental image that was in my head is of a ball just squeaked to the fence. I can just see him throwing it, and then it's just a dribbler to the cutoff. Just because you said you couldn't throw that hard.
There were so many times where I would be at his games last year, and he'd be in like shallow left field. I'm like,
Not
oh,
shallow.
come on,
I
Cole.
know what you're talking about. Not shallow.
Well, not necessarily any specific throw, but he'd be like in left field, and I'd be like, "Oh, got him, Cole, let it fly." He comes throwing it home from left field, which is not a super long throw depending on where you are, and it's like a 14 hopper. It's just like by the time it's there, it's not even a hop; it's rolling. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? We're not throwing a bowling ball. Like, get it in, man. His coaches all the time were like, "What are you doing? Cut it loose." And he's like, "I am."
Yeah. I never, like I said, since I didn't really care at the time, whenever we'd go to our practices and like warm up, me and my throwing partner would actually, like, we're supposed to have like a 10, 15-minute throwing routine. Me and my friend or my throwing partner spent, I would say, a good 3 minutes actually throwing the ball, and the rest just like doing dumb shit. So I never, and that started like freshman year in high school. So I never like grew my arm strength, and ever like even high school or senior year, my arm was ass.
Yeah, there's so many times where not necessarily even baseball. Like, I'll do anything. Like I play intramurals here. Like whenever I get the chance, I played flag football. I played quarterback, and I've never played actual football in my life. I've like gone to games and watched a lot of games and stuff. But I go out there first game of the season. I'm tossing tutties left and right. I'm just letting them. I'm slinging. I'm like, you know what, man? Should have played football. I definitely I could play football.
You're bringing up intramurals. I have a bone to pick with you, frat boys, because it takes the fun out of someone like me who just wants to get back into a game for the love of it. And I'm just getting like, me and my buddies joined the basketball intramural last year, and we played probably the easiest opponent, and we still lost by 6. And we're like, if we're playing Sig Up, we're getting doused by 40 points, and it's not even going to be close.
Don't worry, we were playing Sig Up and getting doused by 40 points. Like, hey, this is the other guys. Like, we're.
Yeah, like-
I mean, There were. I mean, we'll keep it close, but like we're not the ones that are like the powerhouses that you run into. Like, oh god, we got to play them. Like,
Yeah, but still, like,
but yeah, I get what you're
give
saying.
give us non-frat boys like some love. Like, let us win a game or something.
I wish that they would just have like the two best teams just play each other, and then everyone else would actually like play for something, because then it feels relatively even.
Yeah,
But it's the same. It's with every sport. Like, I'll play pickup basketball. I'll hit a few threes. I'm like, I could definitely be in the NBA. I go to play baseball. I'm playing catch, and it's like I'll throw like a bullpen. I'm like, dude, I'm throwing gas. Definitely, like, so they're calling my phone. Tigers need some pitching.
where's the scouts when you need them?
Yeah.
Real, I threw 95 one bullpen. Just the cameras weren't on. Not actually. It was off about like 10 miles an hour.
Okay, and I nuked 10 home runs in my 8th grade year. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was off by 10 miles an hour. I was throwing 105.
Oh,
Yeah, Ben Joyce style. But
did you get Tommy John?
maybe. Might have to. Maybe that'll actually help me get that extra oomph. Maybe if I wanted to, you know.
Throw 110 this time?
Yeah. Realistically, though, there are times where like I've thought about it, like, you know what? Maybe I am gonna try to start playing baseball games. But I'm like, nah. Like, if I wanted to say hypothetically, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna work my ass off. Like, if this was like last year, 2 years ago, like hypothetically, gonna work my ass off. 2 years from now, like, let me try to like walk onto the baseball team. That I feel like that would suck. Like, if you're like an actual walk on, I feel like that's just not fun.
There's just so much that change. I don't want to say changes, but there's just so much in each like sport that we're talking about that like if you miss like a couple of years, you're gonna be behind. Even if you like bust your ass like you're saying and trying to get back into it, you're just gonna be so far behind.
Yeah, and if you're a walk on a big team, especially like a college baseball team or a college football team, basketball maybe because they don't hold as many people, you have maybe an opportunity, but there's 40 guys, 45 guys on a roster, only 9 guys on the field at once. It's definitely not easy, especially because like with scholarships and whatnot, like some of these guys are good and they're getting paid. So it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm good. I'm getting paid to do this, and I've been doing this my whole life, so I'm used to it. You take a few years off, and you're like, let me try to walk on. You're paying to play the sport. You are taking away time from your classes, which obviously all the student athletes are doing. You're taking away time from your classes. You're paying to play, and then you're the 15th guy off the bench. Like, that's not super fun when it's super time-consuming as well. That's part of the reason where I was like, okay, like I say hypothetically that would be cool to do, but realistically I don't think that it would be that enjoyable.
And I think it's tough too to try and keep a positive mentality during all that. I was talking to Donovan today, and we were just kind of talking about the situations, and it's like nowadays, especially, and we're just going to talk about this now, but with that COVID year, everyone has a extra season of eligibility. So obviously, people are going to use that. Like athletes are going to use that, and obviously, coaches are going to run with the success players. Like, oh, you've been here for 4 years. You've shoved all 4 years. We're going to use you for that fifth year. So it's tougher for these younger students and younger athletes to actually like get some playing time. And it's hard to keep a good mentality during that. And I think if you do keep that good mentality, that'll definitely show up and like that'll put you in good favor for your coaches. Just having that good mentality. So, but it is tough. Like being the 17th man on your depth chart.
Yeah, and I know that our senior year of high school is when COVID started up. Like, our baseball season got canceled that year. So, I mean, I wasn't playing in college or anything. So, I was like, all right, it doesn't really affect me. But some of my teammates were going on. And I'm like, well, this kind of sucks for them because what are they going to do, you know? Because you're coming into the season. You're bringing back literally your entire roster, and now you're new. Like, what makes you be like, I'm going to beat out one of these guys for a spot? Which, like, some of them did. So, congrats on them because, like, some of those guys were talented. But it's not easy. And then especially the incoming freshmen, like from when we were seniors in high school, like we go to college, they'd already been offered, they'd already signed. But then you have the people below us, like in between us, our age, and Cole. That's difficult for them because then it's like, okay, we already had a roster of 45 guys. We're bringing in 10 more freshmen, and we're only losing 5 to 10 guys. It's like at that point, you don't even have to recruit. It's like, how is it? Is there going to be roster spots open for like these young guys?
Which, I mean, transfer portal.
Yeah.
Like, and granted, that goes both ways. Like, you're losing guys, you're bringing guys in through the transfer portal, but still, like, that changes so much in every sport that has it.
Yeah, whenever I came here freshman year, I was like, I missed baseball because it was one of those where you hadn't played it in a while, and you felt cheated like out of your senior year. Like, everyone got that last, like our age, got that last part of senior year just chopped off for them. So I was kind of like, all right, I'd sort of come to terms with it. But then after one semester, I transferred back home, and I knew some guys that played for like the local JUCO, like the local community college. Like a lot of guys from our school went to play there. And then some of the guys ended up getting cut for grades and like other issues. So I had an opportunity. Like they asked me, "Hey, would you be willing to come play for us? Like we need pitching, and like the coach wants to see you throw." So I went through. And they're like, "Oh yeah, like you could." But I was like, whenever I transferred back, it was the second semester. I'm like, "You guys have been doing summer workouts, fall workouts, playing fall games." I'm like, "It's February. Your guys' season starts in a month. Like what makes me think that I'm just gonna be able to just pick it up and start playing at an okay level, and then also deserve playing time? Like, why would I spend these last however many months getting myself into shape to be able to play and then not actually even get any playing time because everyone else is better off than I am? And then after the semester's done, I'm transferring away again. Like, I'd spent a ton of time, so I was like, it's just is not even worth it.
Yeah. So
It was definitely, I feel like it's just with any sport. It's one of those, like, it makes you realize how much work those people have to put in.
absolutely.
It's unreal. And even some of those guys that are like with like just the natural God-given talent, it's like holy shit. Like you realize how much of a different level they're on. And then now that we're at the age that people our age are tearing up college or professional leagues, it's like holy shit. Like this guy's my age, and I'm out here just playing PlayStation
Yeah, it's
4 days a week, and then this guy's out here hitting 30 bombs in the MLB, betting 300, and he's my age. It's just crazy.
exactly like seeing Jordan Walker, who's 20 years old, just absolutely crushing. I'm just like eating some potato chips on the couch, watching him just mash. Like, could have been me.
Yeah, for real. And then you see, like especially the NBA, because baseball you have like a little bit of time, and then college or football you're still in college. But watching the NBA, you see these one and done guys. Like you got guys that are last year, LaMelo Ball's a year older than us. He was making an All-Star game. I'm like, this guy's one of the best NBA players in the league right now, and he's only a year older than me. I'm like, it was unreal watching him play at like one of the biggest stages, and I'm like this is crazy. Like I know guys that are his age that are still in college, and like there's just like, I'm trying to live my life, have a good time, and he's just tearing it up.
You bring that up. I don't know enough about soccer, but like MLS is one of those leagues that like bring up those 17 and 18-year-olds, and they play on the big squad. And St. Louis City SC, and this is why I'm bringing this up, they have an 18-year-old. He literally scored a goal on Saturday, and then he had a test in high school on that Monday that he was studying for on Sunday.
That's crazy.
Like you're going to score a goal in the big leagues, and you're like, oh, time to take this calculus exam.
That's wild, because like when you play professional sports, like you're professional, that's your job.
Yeah.
But that's insane that you're in high school and you're playing in a professional league on TV in front of thousands of people, and you're like, oh, guys, I have algebra later on. That's like when people make those jokes about, and Matt, like whenever you see these players in high school, like imagine after a tough day of algebra, you got to go guard LeBron James your basketball game. But imagine literally being like, oh, this guy's a professional currently, and he's studying for my algebra exam, and then like I'm gonna see him in class tomorrow, and then tomorrow night I'm gonna see him on TV playing in the MLS.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Oh.
I've never understood that. Like it's like, I mean, obviously there's not much to understand, but it's like one of those you don't wrap your brain around, because those people feel like larger than life. So then whenever you see them and they're not, like you almost expect them to be like 10 feet tall, like you can't even like touch them.
Yeah.
It's just unreal. But definitely a different topic for us today. I know normally we're talking professional sports today, a lot of personal experience.
I kind of want to know what Evans is. Like, obviously he's not here. Like that would have been a,
Evans talked about it to me a little bit, like when he played basketball in high school. Obviously, being from Indiana, the big basketball state, so everyone loves it. Your teams are always gonna be really competitive, and he's from Indianapolis, so he's told me some of the people that live nearby him, like he's got some really, like one of his neighbors was the starting point guard from Miami this year.
And then I want to say another one of them was a different D1 player too. I want to say he had multiple D1 athletes in his.
Yeah, I don't remember who it was.
I don't remember who this second one was.
Yeah, I don't. Off the top of my head, I'm drawing a blank. But he was on his basketball team in high school, but he was towards the end of the bench. Like his coach would put him in late game if it was like okay, they're gonna foul, we need free throws. Evan, you're a good shooter, go out there and free throws. Or if it was like a late game and they had like a center out there, be like, okay, Evan, go out there. We need some shooting in case we need someone to hit a three. So he said that Evan knew his role, so he worked on shooting a lot, but then also in practice, like he was out there busting his ass trying to push the starters and make sure everyone's going out there giving it their all. And he also talked about how he really likes the way sometimes coaches will pull the starters, and if they're not trying, and then
we talked about
put
this,
the bench warmers in, because then it lights a spark, like lights a fire under their ass. So I mean, I haven't heard like any stories like super funny experiences or whatnot like we've all been sharing today, but little rundown for Evan there.
Yeah. I kind of enjoy these episodes more because like
Yeah.
we came in today like nothing really has happened in the past week that has been like noteworthy. I mean we've talked about them and one of them happened today, but like this was a laid back episode.
Yeah, I know. It's nice having these laid back, especially because every episode before now, it's like, okay, we got this sport and this sport and this sport and this league and this sport and this league. And it's just events on events and just things so many to talk about that it feels like we need a 4-hour episode to cover them all adequately. And now here we are just about to hit the hour mark, and it feels like we've really not touched on anything a ton. It's just kind of like telling our own experiences, which is fun. I like those.
One thing we can't touch on, the Sacramento Kings, baby. They're on top of the
That is
world
true.
right now. Sacramento, proud. I'm a Kings fan, and that's because in 2017, I'm a North Carolina fan too for college basketball, and my favorite player ever from North Carolina is Justin Jackson, and I said wherever he gets drafted, I'm going to be a fan of. Just so happened to be Sacramento, which at the time probably the worst franchise to have been chosen, or to have chosen. And now we are currently up 2-0 on the Warriors, which is fucking awesome because the Warriors came in as probably the favorites to win, which sounds crazy as a 6th seed and injuries and not having a good year. But when you have that much experience and like the talent that they have, and I would say the depth, because like coming into this, their depth is pretty good too. But so far we're up 2-0, going to Golden State tomorrow. I think we sweep them the series with Draymond out this third game, and then being up 3-0. I don't think that they think they'll have a chance. So
Since you just brought him up, let's go ahead and talk about it a little bit. Draymond Green and his little stomp.
as a Kings fan, I want to say biasedly that Domantas Sabonis did not grab his leg, but when you watch it, he did. Now I can't think of the word right now, but he didn't. I don't think he meant to. I think it was accidentally. Inadvertently. Yes, he inadvertently grabbed his foot, and that's because earlier in the game he had been hit in the face, and so he was trying to shield his face, and just so accidentally wrapped his arms around him, around Draymond's ankle, which then caused Draymond to think he's purposely grabbing his ankle and stomping on him. I agree with the ejection. I don't agree with the suspension this game. But as a Kings fan, like I said, I'm not going to complain because that just allows us to win.
I've seen a few videos where it was Dylan Brooks was getting his leg grabbed earlier in the season, and he was kind of fighting. It was the same situation where a guy's on the ground, didn't grab his ankle, but grabbed around his knee, and Dylan Brooks trying to get loose. He's kind of thrashing a little bit, but he didn't jump the way Draymond did and kind of stomp on him. Dylan Brooks just kind of slowly leaned and fell over.
Yeah.
And if Dylan Brooks is doing that, I feel like he's a pretty antagonistic, not necessarily dirty player. But people are saying that if he's doing this, this is a correct way. You could have easily avoided this.
Yeah.
I also, I obviously didn't watch the game. I'm not a basketball guy, but the video of Draymond just I've seen the argument on Twitter he was just trying to get his balance.
Yeah.
You can see him get up and
you can
stomp
see
down.
Yeah, you see him raise his right foot very high and then stomp on it and then use Domantas Sabonis's chest as a launch pad to get to jump away.
That's the shit you see in WWE, just stomping on some guy's chest to walk over him.
Exactly. So from a Kings fan's perspective, I agree with the ejection and the foul call on Draymond and then the foul call on Domantas, but I don't like the suspension because I think Draymond's reaction was just caused from what Domantas did, and Domantas didn't mean to do that, so I don't think there should be a suspension at all.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of dumb.
I know Cole was up in arms. We were watching it yesterday, so I was planning on talking about that just to get his reaction. But Evan texted me this about the Kings. He said, because Evan's a Warriors fan, he said he wasn't able to make that up. He said, I don't need Cole talking shit about the Warriors to me either. And then sent a laughing emoji, so he's just messing around there. But he said that these Kings this year remind him of the 2014 Warriors. Maybe not the championship team, but the pieces are definitely there. The chemistry's there. The hunger's there. The fan base is fantastic. And he thinks that if they get either one of the next two in San Francisco, the Kings take this series without a doubt.
Yeah. I not gonna lie, I think we already take the series no matter what because the
You think
Warriors
they've got it.
because we guaranteed won these two at home. I think we guarantee win the two that we have at home later on if it is to get to that point. Because the Warriors are the worst team in the league on the road, and we have seen them choke away a lead in game 1 and then in game 2 just kind of like lose their spark later on too and let the Kings just start continuously pulling ahead. And I think that would happen in game 6 and game 7 as well. But I think in game 3 we don't even lose because Draymond's not playing.
Does NBA do 2-3-2 as their series?
And
I thought they switched it to 2-2-2-1.
that would take away
No,
two.
sorry. 2
2 1-1-1.
Yes.
That's what the NHL.
That
does.
would take way too long though because they take
Because they give them rest days, I know. But I think that they maybe do it for like the finals or something.
they might do it for the finals, but it's 2 game when it's home games for the Kings, it's a game Sunday and then a game Tuesday. Now our game is on Thursday. It's 2 days in between now. Or
That's-
I messed it up, something like that.
I think 2-2-1-1-1 is the best this is like the best choice.
Why is there like such? So do they play every other day or is it every?
So they play every other day, but when they switch home team or switch arenas, it's an extra day.
They
in
get one
between
yeah,
for
one travel
traveling.
day.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I think it would take too long to do that.
Does the MLB do that? I don't think they do.
I think the MLB is 2-3-2 as well.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it right now and like I can't really picture where these games are being played at from last year's playoffs.
Yeah, I don't.
I don't know. I
'Cause
mean,
The NHL, like they're playing every other day. Even like when they change, like your travel day is your off day.
Sucks.
Like, so
That's-
that's why I'm kind of confused because I watch NHL. But
I know damn well that the way the fans reacted earlier in the year when Sacramento introduced the beam for every time they won, everyone's like, dude, what the hell? They're never even going to turn this thing on. I saw countless memes. Now there's so many people that just absolutely love it. And the way the fans are reacting in Sacramento, I know damn well that no team wants to go to Sacktown and play the Kings right now.
On Google Maps, I believe the beam is a location, and when you look up like a description, it says a place of worship.
That's
No
crazy.
way.
That I've seen that somewhere. I don't know if it's Google Maps or not, but
It might have been like
I saw it is a,
edited or something, but
it
that's
could have
awesome
been,
if
but
it
I saw
is.
it's a location that you can actually go to, and it is a place of worship.
no, I
That's
don't.
crazy. Now I'm pulling up
but-
Apple Maps. I'm
Yeah.
scrolling all the way over to Sacramento.
Yeah,
But when-
I just looked up the beam and it immediately tries to autocorrect to the bean in Chicago. I was like, I don't care about the bean in Chicago.
But going off
That
what
sucks.
So, like you said, it could have been edited. I don't know. I've just seen that before. And going off of what Evan said, I don't think we have the pieces because when you get to the championship, as we saw last year, the Celtics were the best offense in the league and the number 2 defense. And then the Warriors were like a top 10 offense and the best defense. And you saw the Warriors win because defense is the reason you're going to win that championship. You need to lock down or lock up your like the other team superstars. We don't have a player on the team right now except for Davion Mitchell, and he comes off the bench. So when you have the starters out there and obviously like the superstars for the other team, if we are to make the championship, whoever that is, say the Celtics, Davion Mitchell, he's too small to guard Jason Tatum.
You got Swipa.
He's not good defensively. He's not that good. He's not elite defensively to like just go out there and lock someone up. We only have Davion Mitchell. We are the 24th ranked defense in the league. So when you get to a championship and you need like that guy
That's not a good.
exactly, and you need that guy to go out there and lock someone up, we have Davion. But like I said, he's too short to guard Jason Tatum or Giannis, or if they are
So
too
who do you put on him? Sabonis?
exactly. If you do, Sabonis isn't good defensively either. That's why I'm thinking you give us one more year in this offseason. We have a lot of money to save up if we get rid of 2 players. I don't know their names right now, but we have 2 players that we could get rid of, and we get a lot of money back. We go and spend that on a defensive guy, on like just a small forward to start who can just lock anyone
What
up.
about Keegan Murray? You think Keegan Murray is up to that challenge? If you say you run into the Bucks, you think they're like, Keegan,
No.
you got Giannis.
He cannot do that. No, he's a sharpshooter and like occasionally like will get a block and a steal. But when I'm thinking this offseason, we go out there and get a guy like Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby, a guy that can just lock up whoever the hell they want. And then next year we just run it back, and I think that would be a championship team. Honestly,
I could see it.
we
That's a dangerous squad.
because we have the
Show.
because we have the number one offensive in the league, and then you switch Harrison Barnes for Pascal or OG, which offensively, if it's not the same, it's even better than Harrison Barnes, and then defensively, it's 10 times better. I think that just would push us into the championship if we are not to make it this year, which I don't think we will.
I mean, I don't know. Crazier things have happened. You never know. I guess we'll see. But
Yeah.
I've got bad news.
What's that?
Looks like it was photoshopped because I just
It
looked
was,
at the arena
yeah.
and I didn't see anything on Google Maps.
That's
so.
so tough.
That's
Which is
just quite
unfortunate.
unfortunate. But maybe people will start to worship the beam, and it has to officially be listed that. I guess we'll see. but
Someone should definitely like apply it as a location, like
Yeah.
file for it or something.
for sure. Get it to be like a state landmark.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
one of the wonders of the world.
So, before we end it, anyone got closing thoughts?
This is a good episode.
It was. I like this.
LeBron's getting number 5 this year.
You think he's winning another ship?
Yep.
Is this his last run?
No.
Kind of like his last dance. I guess is that the term I'm looking for?
He'll play for at least another
He's playing
3 years.
He's
How many
playing-
more years does he have in his contract? Is this his last year?
2. He has 2 after this
It
because
works out perfectly because his son will be in the NBA, or will after his freshman year, he's projected to be drafted. Then LeBron's contract would be done. So hypothetically, people say whoever Bronny gets drafted to, LeBron will sign there to play with him.
Just for 1 year.
He could
I
play
don't know.
longer. Hasn't he said he could play till he's 45?
LeBron says I want to say LeBron said he wants to. LeBron wants to play till he's 45. I think his prime will because I think he's still in his prime. Honestly, he's only gotten better, and I think this will last 4 more years, and then after that, that's when he'll start declining. And I think his championship window is still open for 3 or 4 more years,
But
depending if they have a team good enough, and it's not because I won't lie, he's not good enough anymore to. Can't say good enough because I just said he's in his prime, but he's
to
not.
carry a team.
He
Like,
can't
carry
carry
whole
a team anymore because he's older now. His body's worn out.
Yeah.
He could play 72 games 10 years ago and carry a team. Nowadays, he's playing maybe 45.
Yeah.
So he's not available enough to go out there and carry a team. So I think if he has the right pieces around him to help him in these next few years, I think he could still get championship.
This is a dumb question because this would be we're in sports marketing right now, Troy. This would be like a dumb marketing move to not do it. But would the team that drafts Bronny really want to sign LeBron James when he's in his 40s? Like I said, dumb marketing move if you don't, because you're gonna bring in so much money if you when you do. But logistically, financially, is it worth it?
Yes, because this is in 2 years. LeBron is 40 then. I don't think. And right now, LeBron's averaging 28.5 with 8.5 rebounds and 7.5 assists. In 2 years, that might drop off to 25, 7 and 7. So it's not going to be much of a drop off. That's if you're drafting Bronny's projected to be a lottery pick. So those teams aren't going to be that good, and if they're not that good, usually they don't have that good of a player. If you're signing LeBron, he will be your best player, most likely. So you get LeBron and Bronny, and then with a bunch of young pieces, I think a team like that could easily make the playoffs, possibly go to a championship. Depends how everyone else plays.
I think they absolutely they're going to do everything in their power to sign LeBron because, like Cole said, he's still playing he's possibly still in his prime. He's still putting up potentially MVP numbers. This isn't like Evan said this last week. It's not like it's Paul Pierce and the Clippers. This isn't the last leg of a retirement tour where he's just trying to get his love from everybody. LeBron's still going out there and he's still putting up damn good numbers where it's is he the best player in the league is still a very good question. So, I mean, unless there's just some astronomical drop-off next year when Bronny's about to get in the league and people are like, holy shit, LeBron's averaging 12 points and 3 boards and 2 assists, which I absolutely do not see happening, then there might be a question at that point. But unless we see some drop-off, that's just unprecedented. They have to sign him, I think. I think that it only makes sense. And then you're in prime position to get him. He wants to go to you.
Yeah.
So since he joined the Lakers, he started out averaging 27.5, 8.5, 8.5. Then he went to 25.5, 10 and 8. And then in 2020, 2021, he averaged 25, 8 and 8. Last year he averaged 30, 6 and 8, and then this year he averaged 29, 7 and 8.5.
Wouldn't he have won the
So he's-
scoring title last year if he wouldn't have been hurt?
No. Actually he might have. Yes. I don't know.
I thought he would have, but
I don't know. I think I I want to say I remember seeing something like that, but also I don't think he did though.
Yeah.
He would have.
I think it was like towards the end he had the opportunity, but I don't know if he actually would have or not. I want to say he did, but I don't know.
Over these last 5 years, you can see that he just like has kind of only gotten better. He went from like a scoring facilitator to mainly a facilitator to now like, oh shit, now that my sidekick and AD is consistently out, I need to ramp up my scoring, and he did that by going to 30 points a game and 29 points a game, while also averaging still 8.5 assists. I think he will be able to maintain like a superstar status the next like 4 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
So wherever
I can see it.
So wherever Bronny goes, I think they will be willing like, oh, LeBron's out there knowing like wanting to play with the Sun. We have to sign him because he will be our best player. He will bring us to the playoffs and give us a chance at a title. So
Is there a cap in NBA or is
Yes,
it?
there's a salary cap. Yeah.
I think you get 3 max contracts, which is like I don't know how much money. I want to say like I don't know. Honestly.
I want to say it's like 50 a year. 50 mil a year,
It
maybe.
could be that. That sounds right.
I want to say that's what it is.
And that's like you get 3 of those, and then like the rest of like.
And then you
regular
can sign
contracts.
everyone to like minimum deals
Yeah.
after that. So you could hypothetically go over it. Like if you need to fill out a roster, you can sign a player for the minimum, which is I want to say for like veterans like 1.15, and for someone that's not considered veteran, it's like 800,000. But so I think with that, ending it today, like we've been saying all the time, love these types of episodes, great episodes. If you're sticking with us to this point, appreciate you listening. This has been the Crescent Sports Report. Shout out the Crescent. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Crescent Magazine on Instagram, Crescent Magazine 1 on Twitter, and UE Crescent Magazine on Facebook. Signing off, Crescent Sports Report. Peace.